Okay, so let's get started. So do you like the conference so far?
Yeah.
What session was the best so far?
0 to 60.
Yours coming.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So my name is Jacob. I work for Microsoft, but I like this Microsoft logo better. Maybe someday it'll become the official logo. I work on the Azure Management Portal. Are you guys using Azure? Do you use the new portal? Cool. Do you like it better than the old one, or you prefer the old one? So? Okay, cool. I encourage you guys to check out the new portal. We make a lot of updates recently, and new updates are coming. Keep improving it, and hopefully soon it will become the main portal, and we will get rid of this preview type. And the portal can work even in Tesla car. This is my friend's Tesla, and you launch a browser there, and the portal works there. Actually, we were even surprised because we don't have any tests for that, so that was cool. I have a blog, jj09.net. I encourage you guys to check it out and subscribe. I'll publish this talk video if the recording will work, and also the code and the slides on my blog after the code camp. I'm also on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Jacob Jadryszek. You can find it on my blog as well. I am a co-organizer of .NET Conf PL, which is an online conference for .NET developers. It was inspired by .NET Conf, created by Scott Hanselman and Javier Lozano. I'm not only a developer, I'm also doing something else than sitting on my desk. So I'm biking. Here I'm on Mount Evans, the highest paved road in North America. It's in Colorado. It's 14,000 feet. The oxygen level at the top is 50% of what we have here. So that was the hardest part there. That 28-mile hike with 7,000 feet elevation gain wasn't that bad. The oxygen level was pretty interesting. Here I am preparing for STP in Seattle. Did you guys do STP? Who have done STP? One guy. Great. So you also guys should do that. It's pretty cool. It seems like it's 200 miles. It's a lot, but trust me, it's not that much. Okay, so TDD. How many of you are testing your code? Like, how many of you at work, you have your project and you have unit tests? Okay, like 70%, so not bad, not bad. Who is using TDD, test-driven development? Okay, like 20%, so. Okay, who doesn't know what TDD is? Okay, 3 people, okay. So for you 3 guys, so TDD works like that. You write a test before you write any production code, then you run this test, which should fail, of course, because you don't have any code that will make it work. And then after test is failing, you write the code that will make this test passing. And after that, because the code you write should be like the minimal to make the test passing, but once you make it passing, you refactor your code, and you have these tests to be like your like sort of the shell, which protecting you from breaking things while refactoring. And this is pretty cool 3 laws for TDD by Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob is Robert Martin, pretty known developer in our software industry. He wrote the book Clean Code and Clean Coder. So he said that if you start with TDD, or if you want to practice the pure TDD, you should follow these 3 rules. And the first rule is saying that you cannot write any production code until you have failing tests. And the second rule is saying that you cannot write more tests than it's sufficient to fail. So that means you write a test, it's failing. So then you write the code to make it not failing, and then you can write another test code. And the third rule is saying that once you make your test passing while writing production code, you cannot go further, like saying, okay, my test is passing, okay, let me add this and that. You need to write another test, and then you can write another production code. This is pretty strict, but this sort of shows the idea of TDD, that your test should be like requirements. I want my code to do this, so I write the test, right, and then I write the code to actually do this, not the opposite. So testing in JavaScript is, I would say, still a pretty new thing. Most of people knows how to test C# or Java. How many C# developers here? Okay, 80%. Java? 20. Okay, so C# is winning. So how many of you are web developers? Okay, 80%, right? Because now we don't do STEP anymore. So do you test your JavaScript, guys? Okay, 2 people. That's good. 2 out of 15. That's good step. What frameworks are you using for testing?
Mocha, Mocha.
Oh, okay, cool. And the second person? QUnit. Okay, cool. So I personally think that QUnit was pretty mature framework like 1 or 2 years ago. So for example, in when working on Azure portal, we use QUnit because the project started 2 years ago, and at that point the QUnit was the, let's say, the best option. Today, if we are starting, we probably will choose between Mocha and Jasmine, with maybe this distinction that I personally think that Mocha is better for server-side Node.js testing, while Jasmine is better for front-end, like Angular, Knockout, Aurelia. So these 2 are currently the most popular, I believe, also within a developer community. So I'll show you today how to test Node.js with Mocha and how to test Angular with Jasmine. The main difference between these 2 is that Jasmine has like everything in there, while for Mocha, you, for example, need assertion library, you need a mocking library, so you need to make your own testing toolset by yourself. In Jasmine, it's all in one, so you don't have to worry about that. I'll also show a few tools. So everybody knows NPM. Okay, not everybody. Or everybody? Who doesn't know? Okay, nobody, cool. Okay, 1 person, all right, cool. So NPM is Node Package Manager, which allows you to install Node packages on your app. Gulp is Task Runner that allows you to automate your workflow. So for example, today I'll be showing TypeScript, and I'll show you how you can compile automatically your TypeScript code into JavaScript, how you can automatically run your tests after you change some of your files. I'll also show you Bower. So while NPM is Node Package Manager, Bower is supposed to be used for front-end packages like Twitter Bootstrap, jQuery, or Angular. So you install your frameworks that you will be sort of exposing to the user. And the last thing, TSD, is a TypeScript definition files manager, and I'll go more deep later on. Basically, it allows you to download and install the TypeScript definition files for existing JavaScript libraries, which allows you to use existing JavaScript libraries from your TypeScript code. I will also show 2 tools. I'll show you Karma, which allows you to automatically run your Jasmine tests in the browsers, in the multiple browsers, and Protractor, which is sort of like Selenium. It allows you to run your acceptance end-to-end testing, which you run the browser, you can click a button, and then you can verify if the behavior is what you are expecting to. Okay, so actually I have a lot of code today, so that's what I will be mainly showing. So let me open up my console. Okay, is this font okay? Okay, nobody is saying nothing, so I assume yes. Yep. So I'll create new directory TDD with TS. Oh, I already have it. What about 1? Yes. TS1. So here I will init my app. So I will say npm init. And this will create a package.json file, which will have properties about my app and also the packages, the Node packages I have installed. So later on I can restore them using this file. So I'll just use all default options. You can customize all of this. And the first thing I will do, I will install my testing framework, Mocha. So I'll say npm install Mocha, and I will say --save dev. So that means it will add the information about Mocha to my package.json file, and later on if I can remove it, or when I am deploying to the server I can just deploy my package.json file, and server can issue command npm install and automatically will pull all my references. It works sort of like NuGet in C#. Okay, so I have my Mocha, and I need to make new directory test. And now when I run Mocha, it will look for my tests in the test directory, and because I don't have any, it's just saying that, you know, 0 test passing, but nothing failed, so that's good. So let me create a first test, but maybe before that, how many people are familiar with TypeScript? Okay, like 20%. So let me do a quick intro to TypeScript. So close this, open that. So create new file, hello.ts. So TypeScript is superset of JavaScript that adds ECMAScript features plus strong typing. Basically, you can say that TypeScript is the JavaScript VNext plus strong typing. And strong typing is optional, so you don't have to use it. So you can use TypeScript as your ECMAScript 6 transpiler as well. So, so let me here create the function hello with 2 parameters, first name, last name. And here I will console log hello plus first name plus last name. And you know, this is valid JavaScript, right? And if I compile it with TypeScript, I can go back to my console. I can say tsc hello ts. tsc is TypeScript compiler. Click enter. And it will create me a hello.js file. So let me put these side by sides actually. Let me make this smaller. I hope you guys still can see it. So you can see on both sides I have the same code, right? Nothing changed because every JavaScript code is valid TypeScript code. And now when I would like to add some TypeScript here. So first, you know, when I run this function, I just say hello, and here I provide my first name, last name, right? Okay. And I can compile it even in Sublime because I hook up the TypeScript compiler here. So if I say Control B, if the compilation happens, the tsc command was run, and you see on the right hand side it's compiled now, and I can even run it from here using the Node.js, and you see hello Jacob Jędryszek, okay? But what happens if, you know, somebody will say, okay, what if I do this? And this will compile, right? Because I don't have any types. But probably that's not what you mean by last name, right? So in TypeScript, I can add the type. And the type is added by the colon. So I can say first name string, and last name, I want this to be string as well. And now we can see in Sublime, I am using the TypeScript plugin for Sublime. I have red squigglies here. And if I hover over, here at the bottom, it's saying me that argument of type number is not assignable to type string. So this is saying me, okay, you cannot supply number here, right? And if I try to compile this, I'll get the same error. So you cannot assign number to string. So, you know, I can fix it here. And now I can compile it, and everything works. And you see here on the right-hand side, you don't have types, right? Because this is compiled to pure JavaScript. On the runtime, you don't need this, but on the development time, it's pretty useful. So let's see what else. So for example, another feature is class. You can create classes without using the prototypical inheritance from JavaScript. So let's say I say class person, and here I want to have first name, type string, and last name, also type string. And I can also add the accessors. So I can say private, and I also want my last name private. I can create a constructor. And here I can say fname, lname. Of course, both. Also, I want type strings. So I want to make sure that my constructor, you also pass me strings. And here I say this first name equals fname, and this last name equals lname. And then I can compile this. And you see here, this is how you would have to define this on in JavaScript. And then, you know, when TypeScript is really useful is when, let's say, you know, one developer wrote this function, another developer is using this function, okay? And then, you know, developer one was saying, let's change API. Actually, I don't want first name and last name anymore. I just want a person here, okay? So I just add a person parameter, And here, I cannot really even access the first name and last name because TypeScript is saying me that first name is private, so I cannot access it. So I need to sort of work around it. And what I can do in TypeScript, I can move all this function to class. But for now, let me just make this public. And now you see the red squigglies are gone. But now I still cannot compile, and I have red squigglies here because the parameters doesn't match. And what is cool here, if I get rid of this and I say that, again, the TypeScript compiler is saying me, okay, this hello function now needs the person type parameter. Okay, so I need to create a new person object, and now I can supply the person here. I can compile it, and I can run it, and still have the same result. And this can be moved in here. I can also have methods pretty easily created here. I'll just have to, I can get rid of this parameter because I don't need this anymore. It's in here. I can add the private modifier, I can add the private modifier here back. So now it won't be accessible. It will be only accessible in here. So I'd say this first name and this last name. And now I don't need this at all. And here I can just say p.hello. I can compile it. And I can run it. And I have still the same thing. So this is like the idea of TypeScript. Still JavaScript, but the next version, some things are different. If you want to get started with TypeScript, go to, let me see my browser, TypeScript.lang.org. They have a lot of tutorials. You can also check on Pluralsight. There is a pretty cool course, TypeScript Fundamentals by John Papa and Dan Wallin. So now let me start writing the actual code. So let me remove this because I won't need this. I won't need this neither.
If you get that thing to do the transpiling automatically.
I have a plugin Sublime, and I've hooked it up to Control B. So if I say Control B, it's doing that. It actually issued a command tsc compile, and it automatically refreshes in Sublime. That's just Sublime. You can also use VS Code and other editors. Okay, so now let me add the first test file. So what I would like to show you, I would like to create a small app which will allow you to vote for one of the options, and the backend will be in Node.js and the frontend will be in Angular. So I will start with backend. In the backend, here I need to add a new file, and I will call it voting.test.ts. And in here I will use Mocha, and in Mocha, in order to create test, you need to create a describe block. Describe, and this is actually a function that the first parameter is just description, so my tests, and the second parameter is a function, and here I will use the arrow function, which is another ECMAScript 6 feature / TypeScript. I could say function here as well. This will be actually the same, but arrow functions are cooler, and they preserve your scope, because function change your scope to this function scope, but the arrow function preserve your scope. So for example, if you do callbacks, usually you want to access some properties from your parent object, and then you have to do like var that equals this, and then use that something in your callback. In arrow function, you can use this, and TypeScript will transpile it actually to something like that. Okay, so let me start writing code. So I have describe, but here I have red squigglies, and TypeScript is telling me I cannot find name describe. That's because TypeScript doesn't know anything about Mocha, right? And in order to let him know, I can install the definition file. And the idea of definition files is to enable you to use the JavaScript libraries in your TypeScript code. And there is this open source project called Definitely Typed, created by Boris Yankov. And here, here's the GitHub repo, and they have almost all repositories, almost all JavaScript libraries. You can see here, sorry, we had to truncate this directory to 1,000 files because they have more than 1,000 libraries supported. So for example, if I search for Mocha here, you see here is the Mocha, and if I go here, there's mocha.d.ts. This is the definition file, which is telling me what functions I can run on it. So I could copy this code from here and paste it to my project, but the better way to do that is to use TSD. So first I will have to install TSD, but actually to make things a little bit faster, I'll modify my package.json file. I'll say vote package, I think. Yeah. So here I'll install all stuff, so you save your guys time. You don't watch me installing. So I will install Mocha. I'll install TSD. I'll also install Gulp and some Gulp plugins. I'll install the Chai, which is a Mocha assertion library. We'll install Jasmine, which I'll use Angular later on, and Phantom.js, which is a server used by Karma to run your tests in the browser. I also use the Express, which is Node.js framework. So I'll save this, and I'll go back to my console. I'll say npm install, and now npm will pull all my dependencies specified in package.json file, and it will install it. So while this is going, this will probably take a while. In order to add my reference, I need to, in top of my file, I need to specify reference, and I already know it will be in typings directory, in directory Mocha, mocha.d.ts, but I don't have it installed. So you know what is nice about TypeScript is telling me, hey, this file doesn't exist here. So let me go back to console. Okay, come on. Okay, maybe I can open up new console, and it was TDD with TS1, and here maybe I can use TSD install Mocha --save. So this will save this definition file to my tsd.json file, which again works similar like npm, that I can save my libraries that I have installed. Okay, here it is. And now if I switch back to Sublime, you see there's this tsd.json file, which is like package.json, and here you can see there's Mocha, and you know the versioning works on GitHub commits. So this is the GitHub commit from definitely type repo. And here in typings I have Mocha and I have this definition file pulled automatically. And now here you see the red squigglies are gone, and the red squigglies here are gone as well, because now TypeScript knows what the script is. Okay, so let me add the first test. Say it should be able to init app, and here I specify another function, and I like to divide my test into arrange and act and assert AAA. And here in arrange phase, I should do something to prepare my test. So for example, here I will create an array called options, and this will be array of my options I can vote for. So first option will be awesome, then it will be okay, and it will be bad. So let's say you'll have these three options to vote for. And now in here I will say, okay, I want to initialize my app. How I do that? So I don't have any production code yet, right? But I'm saying here, okay, I want to have voting controller, which has function in it, which will take my options array, okay? And then in assert, I can do assertion, and in order to do assertion, again in Mocha, you need third-party library. In this, here I will use Chai. So I will have to first install the definition files for Chai. I'll say tsd install Chai save. Chai is already installed here with npm. Ooh, I got some errors. Hopefully that won't mess up anything. So I'll just copy this, and it should be Chai in Chai. Yeah, here it is. And here I'll import Chai require Chai. I get red squiggles here because I don't have my compiler in Sublime configured with module flags, because here I'll be using common JS modules. And also say var expect equals chai dot, and you see here I have IntelliSense, so I don't have to, oops, I won't misspell anything. And you know, I could write this code, I could compile it now in my console, saying TSC in my test, and there is voting test yes, and I can say module common JS. And then after I compile my test, oh, I cannot compile because I don't have my voting module yet, so I need to create it. So I'll create new directory, controllers. I'll create new file, voting, so my voting controller. And here I need to create this init option. So I say export function init. And I want these options to be type of array of strings. And this function will return nothing. And here I don't really have to do anything as well. Again, here's complaining about the module flag, but that's fine. And here in test, I need to import this. So import voting equals require dot controllers voting. And now rest cookies are gone. That's okay. And here I can do some assertions. So let's say expect voting, and let's say here I will need some sort of verifications. Let's say I will do get total votes to be equal 0. This is cool. In Chai you can do this BDD style assertions. And again, now I don't have a get total votes function, so let me also create this here. Function get total votes, and this will return a number. And for now I'll just return 0, because you know I just need to have minimal code to run this test and to make it pass. Actually it will just pass now. So let's say I say -1, okay? And I'm here, I'll compile this and I'll run Mocha, and I have one failed assertion. So you know I can easily fix it. I say return 0 and then compile it with Mocha, compile it with TSC and run it with Mocha. And now my test is passing. So you know, I could do it every time I do one change. I could go back to my console, say compile, say run my test, but I can also automate it, and I will automate it with gulp. So I'll add a gulp file to my project. Are you guys familiar with gulp? Like 20%, 30%? Okay, so you know, gulp will allow me to do this automatically. And here I have a configuration file. It's pretty long, but this is JavaScript, which is nice about gulp. So let me go from the bottom. So here I have the default task. If I issue command gulp, it will run this task, and this task will run some other task. So here I will compile my TypeScript code. I'll run my tests. I'll run Karma to run my front-end test. But actually, for now, I don't need Karma because I don't have it configured yet. So let me just get rid of it, and I'll add it to comment. So boom, no Karma. Okay, so I'll just compile my TypeScript, run tests, and watch for changes. And these tasks are defined here. So here's my compile TS. I'll compile server and client side separately, because on the server side I'm using common JS modules, while on the client side I'm using AMD modules. And here I'm just running tests with Mocha. I'm using gulp Mocha plugin. So let's see if this will work. So if I say gulp now, I added my gulp file. You see it's compiling, and it should also run tests. And you see I have one test passing. And you know, if I put it side by side, and now I'll go back to my test, and let's say you know I'll change something, I'll save it. It automatically recompiled and rerun my tests. And you see now I have one failing test, but I'll change it back because that's not what I meant, and it's passing again. Okay, So I'll leave it full screen because I don't have very good resolution here. So I have a first test is passing. So let me add something more. So I'll create another describe block. And here I have a cool snippet. So this will be, let's say I'll describe as voting app. And here in Mocha there's a cool thing called before each, when you can specify the function that will be run before each test in this describe block. So in before each, I would say do voting init and initialize always with these options, because I will always want to do it for all of my tests in this suite. So here I will say I'll say should be able to vote. Okay, so here I won't have arrange block anymore. Actually, I will have it here. In my act block, I would like to say voting.vote, and let's say as my parameter will be my option. So let's say I'll choose the first option with index 0, and after that I want to assert this. So I say expect voting get total votes 1. Sorry, total votes equals 1, because I voted for one option. But this will not compile because I don't have vote function. So let me add it really quick. So I'll say export function vote, and here index number, return nothing. And actually in this function I don't have to do anything. I just need to make it compile. And I will switch here, and you see I already have one passing, one failing test. So let's make this test pass. So this will be a little bit more complex, because now actually I need to add the logic to my app. I can drive it with tests, but to make it faster, I'll just add it. So here, first of all, in init, I need to somehow save my options. So I'll create the model, which will be the class that represents each option. So let me create new folder, models, and let me add new file called vote.ts. And here I will say class vote, and we'll have two properties: label type string and votes, which will be number of votes number. I'll create a constructor. In constructor I will say label string, and I won't have other option because I want this to initialize to 0 by default, and I want my label to be taken from here. Oops, LBL. Okay, so I have my model, and I will export it so I can import it in my controller. So here in controller on top I will say import vote equals require dot models vote, right? Doesn't even compile. So okay, so here I'll create an array, my votes. I'll say new array with type vote. So now TypeScript will ensure that I won't add anything else to this array, just votes, because that's what we usually want in our apps, right? So in init function, I will say votes equals, and I'll take my options, I'll map it. So option, map it to new vote, and I will add this option. And this will create me new options object and assign it to my votes array. Actually, I don't have to say new array here. I can also say I have this array here, and this is type of array votes. So okay, I have this, and now in a vote function, because my tests are still failing. In a vote function, I will say votes index dot votes plus plus. So this will increase the number of votes. And here in get total votes, I will have to count it. So I'll say var sum equals 0, and votes dot for each vote, say sum plus vote. Sum plus equal votes dot votes. Okay, and just return the sum, the semicolon here. And let's see here, compiling, and my test is passing. So I'm sure my total number of votes is working. And now, I would like to check that, the particular option is correct. So, again, I can just copy this code and say vote for 0. And I'd like to be able to get votes and get first option and make sure that votes is equal to 1 of the particular option. And maybe I also would like to make sure that the second and third option is equal to 0 as well, okay? So, again, code is not even compiling, errors. So let me add this getVotes function here. Say export function getVotes. And here I'll return array of votes, which will be my votes array. Okay, I save it. Now I can compile, and my two tests are passing. So this is my basic backend. I won't add any persistence layer now because we don't have much time, already in half of the way. So let me now do the front-end side with Angular and Jasmine. So first, before I switch into that, I will go here. Let me close all tabs. So I'll add a new directory called public, and here will be my all front-end stuff. And I'll also need to create the Node.js server because I didn't add it, and you probably guys don't want to see me typing this. So this is the server code, and here I need to add install some typings for Node and for Express. So I'll do it now. Here's the install Node Express save, and also resolve. I'm not sure why you need to specify the resolve flag. I think it should be by default, because always when you install something that have dependency, you always want to get these dependencies, right, to get it work. And you see here I installed 4 typings in total. So I have this now. This should go away. Okay, so this should also compile now. Let's see if we get server.ts. Okay, my gulp is not running. So this is a standard Node.js server. Here I am just adding 2 routes that are accessing my API that is specified. You can get votes and you can vote. And I should of course test it, write test and write this, but again, not enough time. So I'll start doing my Angular app now. So first, I'll also, to my public, I'll add new file, index.html, which will be my single page app. And I also have this ready. So this is my index app. Here I have our libraries I will be using already imported, and I need to install jQuery and Bootstrap, and I will do this with Bower. So let me go here and let me say Bower init, because I don't have my Bower file yet. In Bower file I can also have specified dependencies for my front-end packages. Okay, and they will ask me also a question about name, version, blah blah blah. I'll just say use all defaults and do Bower install jQuery and Bootstrap. I also say save. Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing. I want to add .bowerrc file here, and in this file I will say, hey, install all my dependencies to directory public lib, because by default Bower is installing it to Bower components, but I want to have my app and all my libraries in public directory. So create this file, and then when I say Bower install, it should install jQuery and Bootstrap into that directory. Okay, so it's downloading, installing. Okay, I'm done. So now it should work. I also need to install Angular. So I say Bower install Angular, save. And I will be using Angular mocks library in order to test my Angular controllers, because I need to mock some Angular stuff like HTTP client or mock the Angular scope. So I also say install Angular mocks. And when I'm installing all this stuff now, I'll also install Angular typings and Angular mocks typings as well. So I'll have definition files for that as well. Okay, so I think I have all my stuff. So the actual app is in here. Yeah, 10 lines of code. So here I'll be just displaying some cool image on top, and here I'll be displaying my options you can vote for and the results. So here is the Angular and syntax for Angular engine. I'll display the label and number of votes, and will allow you to click. If you click, it will call my controller. So I need to create this controller. Yeah, so actually, let me do this first. So I will say new folder app, because here I want to have my Angular app, a new file app.ts. And here I will just mock up the Angular app. This is how TypeScript version of Angular will look like. So here I'm just creating Angular module called voting, and then I can get this module from whenever in my app. And also I would like to add the controller, my voting controller.ts. This will be my Angular controller and ng controller. Okay, so this is a controller in Angular written in TypeScript. It's empty. The vote and get votes function are empty, right? Because I don't have tests for that yet. Here I am injecting the Angular scope, and you see, using the definition files, I have a strong typing for my scope. So if I say scope here, you can see there are some functions available here. So if I say something, some function that doesn't exist, it will give me a compilation error. Okay, so I have my controller. Let me also create the directory for my tests. I'll say test, and I will add new file, voting controller test.ts. Okay, and here I will add vote test controller test. Okay, and I didn't install the Jasmine definition files. So Jasmine is the framework I will be using to test my Angular code. I could test Angular and Node with Jasmine only or with Mocha only. I just choose it to show you guys how you can use it. So let me really quick install. Use the install Jasmine. And you see, everything is fine. So now I should be able to run gulp. Oh, and also, yeah, because I will be running my Jasmine tests in Karma. So Karma is the test runner that opens up your browsers and run your tests in actual browser, not in console. You can also use the headerless browser called Protractor. So you can run in this, and you can run in Firefox and Chrome and IE. So I will add the karma.conf.js file. And here I'll add my karma config file. This is a almost default configuration file you can find on the internet. I'm just saying I'm using Jasmine framework. This is the files you will need to use in order to run my tests. And here at the bottom I'm saying I'm using IE, Firefox, and Phantom.js. So please run my test in this. So I'll save this. I'll save also that. And now in my gulp.js, because I commented out the karma code, right? So I'll just undo. Oh, I cannot undo. I'll just uncomment it. I'll just say test and karma. I'll add the karma here. So now it will run my server-side tests and client-side tests. So if I did everything correctly, if I run gulp now, it should run my server-side test first. Oh, and I got tons of errors. That's not good. That's probably because I don't have any tests. So let's see. Let's go to public, app tests. Let's try to add some tests. So vote controller test. So here's my test, which is calling the API. I'm doing a lot of setup here actually, so I'm setting up the expected result that I expect that it will return me this array I have on my other side with pairs of label and vote. And it will be 0 by default, right? And then I'm telling my fake HTTP backend, like, expect that if you call this URL, which is in here, so API get votes, respond with 200 and this expected result, right? And then I'm instantiating my Angular controller. And during instantiation, I am doing this call. So then at the end, I am just asserting whether this call happened. So I'll save this, and now it should work, I hope. If not, then I'm in trouble. Boom, doesn't work still. Not good. Let's see, what are the errors? Maybe let's start Karma without gulp. Let's see, Karma start, because all other tasks should work. Okay, you see it starts my IE browser, starts Firefox, and it's trying to run my test in these two browsers. Oh, I know it doesn't. Oh yeah, it works. Okay, cool. But executed 0 of 0 because I didn't compile my files yet. Let's see. Yeah, this is not compiled. Okay. So let's do this. Let's open gulp file. Let's get rid of Karma. And let's just try to compile these files first. And gulp compilation. Oh, I got some errors there. Okay, so I have some compilation errors. I misspelled something probably. Okay, cannot find name jQuery. Ooh, okay. So that means I don't have jQuery typings. Let's see, TSD install jQuery. Save. And that'll be bad. Yes, it compiled. Cool. Okay. So now let's add Karma back and run gulp. It has to work. Silence. Okay, something is working, and I got my test failed, which is expected because I didn't implement this code yet, right? So now, after this, 5 minutes of setup, let me write some code for a few seconds. So I'll go to voting controller, and in get votes, I will say this HTTP get, and I'll call API get votes, and this will return me the promise. And on success, I will add a callback. I'll say whatever you return, assign this to my scope votes, because this is where I want my votes to be. In TypeScript, I cannot say scope.votes because votes it's not strongly typed. So I need to use this dictionary notation here. But this is fine because I'll have some checking anyway. So let me rerun gulp. Recompile this. Okay, run IE. Okay, and my tests are passing now. So now let me add one more test. So I know I can get votes, but I also would like to add a test to vote. So vote controller test 2. So this is again, I am configuring my backend that I want you to respond with this by default. Create a controller, then I set up the expected result that the second option will have one vote, because I will vote for, in my act, I will vote for the option with index 1, and here I want to assert that this voting works. So I will save this, and it should recompile this file and rerun Karma, and so one failing test, that's good. And I'll go to my controller, and here I will say this HTTP post this time, because I will do post call. I will say API vote, and I will say index. I won't pass anything in the body, and in success callback, I'll also say data, and here I'll say this scope votes equals data. I'll click save, and this should recompile everything, relaunch the test in all browsers, and my 2 tests are passing now. So this is how we can do testing on the front end with Jasmine and with Karma and with Gulp and with TypeScript. So I showed you probably like 10 different tools. I hope you didn't get lost. I will post this on GitHub. I will make a blog post on my blog. It will be available. But the very last thing I would like to show you is how to do the end-to-end test, because now we have our backend working, we have our front end, right? And actually we can now let's do nodemon server. We should be able to run our server and go to the browser, say localhost 3000. That's the default port Node is using, and you can see that's my app. I can vote here. You can open F12 tools. You see this error. Oh, but the error is, yeah, I don't have fav icon. Yeah, sorry for that. Here you can in network. You probably can see. Yeah, I'm doing the calls to my backend, and if I refresh it, it's persisted here. If I just close it and I rerun it again, the votes will be lost because I am creating the array when I am running the app. Let's see, votes are gone. So this works, and we can do testing by clicking. But the better thing to do is to use some automate way to do that. So I'll use a protractor for that. So I already installed it and specified in my package.json file. Now I just need to add the config file. So here, new file, protractor.conf.js, and here I have snippet. That's pretty cool. So this is the address of my web server that will be actually running all of this. And here I'm saying, okay, I will have one test file in test UI directory. So actually, let me create that, and I'll just run this test in Firefox. You can specify multiple browser or some different browser. So let's say test UI, and here I'll create new file e2e.test.ts, and here I have my protractor test, and I also need to install definitions for that. So I'll say tsd install Angular protractor. You also can take advantage of TypeScript strong typing there. Okay, it's cool. Here I have some red squigglies. I wonder why. I hope this will work. If not, then sorry. Okay, so I think I have everything now. So here I will just go to my browser to localhost 3000. I will find by CSS selector my first option that I can vote for. I will click it, and then I expect that this will change the text from awesome 0 to awesome 1. So let me run gulp to compile this. Oh no, okay. So I have some typings issue, I guess. Sorry? Yeah. I know, but I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why. Because when I installed this, I didn't say resolve. Yes, that's not cool. Yeah, you see, I have Selenium WebDriver, and now it's gone. So, yeah. I don't know what you guys think about it. I think that TSD guys, they should fix to have the resolve method by default. I just think it will make sense because. Okay, I can run my tests here. I have this compiled now. So now I can keep my gulp running, but in here I need to run my WebDriver manager. This is actual app that will drive the tests. So I have this. I also actually need to run the server. So cd with, how I call it, with ts1. I think that this one. So I'll say nodemon server.js. Oops. Server.js. So I have my server running as well. You can, of course, you can automate it with gulp. You can do it from gulp. You can automate it by some script as well. And And now, in one more console window, with TS1, I say protractor conf, I say enter. Okay, I have WebDriver running, and this should run the Firefox. Okay, here's Firefox, and I click this change, and this is asserting this change, so that means the behavior is as expected. So let me go back here. So testing Node.js with Mocha and Angular with Jasmine. Sorry, just skipping this slide. So if you guys want to learn more about test-driven development, unit testing, there are two great books. Test-driven development by example by Kent Beck. This is more about ideas of TDD in general. What's the idea behind that? That the tests are TDD is not more about how to write tests. It's more about how to write a good code. Because if you notice, like if you do TDD for a while, then you notice that actually your tests are making you to write better code. Because in your tests you need to say something that it's like more intuitive, and you actually need to use your code from, let's say, second-person perspective a little bit. So this is what Ken Beck is talking about in this book. And the second book is written by Roy Osherov, and I think it's the best book in unit testing. And if you go to Google and if you Google for a unit testing book, this book is in first 5 results, right? So you actually don't have any options. And recently I also read a pretty cool book by Eric Dietrich. I'm following his blog, Start to Unit Test. And I especially like this one quote when he's answering like how to convince your management or your boss or your colleagues to do unit testing, and he say you don't need to convince them, you just have to do that, right? Because if you don't have an automatic way to test your app, how you do that, right? You write the code, you run the browser, you click, you make sure it works, right? So instead of running this browser and clicking, you just write unit test. At first it will take more time, but in long term this will help you a lot. And like from my experience, I can tell you that I always was suffering when there was no unit test. Like for example, some feature that was not well tested, it stopped worked, and somebody noticed, oh, it doesn't work, right? And then, okay, so which change caused that this stopped working, right? And in Azure Portal, we have like 40 developers contributing to the same repo, so we have around 30, 40 commits per day. And if I need to go through this for like last 2 weeks, let's say, then it's pretty hard. But when you have like acceptance tests, what happens is, when somebody is trying to do some change, right? And then you get acceptance test failing, and okay, you see, oh, this guy wrote this, and so I'm going to this guy, hey, this is failing, why is that? How is it supposed to fix it? How it's supposed to work? So in long term, it works. If you're just doing like overnight project, one person, probably you don't have to. But in long term scenario, it always will help you, and it's also a little bit fun to run the test and then write the code, make the test passing. So. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much for coming, and I will upload this presentation on my blog.